What is up, guys, and welcome back for the Week 3 Team Builder. This week we are going up against my man Kyogre Kauai, coach of the Lansing Leafeons. Link for his channel, of course, and as well as everybody else in the IBA. It's going to be down in the description, but make sure you go check him out. Obviously, you're going to want to watch his side of the battle when we do have the battle. Stuff obviously hasn't happened. This is pre-battle. Sometimes people do their team builders after the battle. I never have done that. I always want to do mine before. I am going off on a tangent, but anyway, like I said, we're taking on my man Kyogre Kauai, coach of the Lansing Leafeons. The only time we ever battled him was in IBA Season 2. Now, that battle was a very spicy battle. I have a lot of good feelings about that battle. It actually started off horrible. I did not prepare well enough for his Gigantamax Charizard with solar power. It was bodying my entire team, and then till finally I was able to take it down, I believe once it Gigantamaxed. And then I sent out my Choice Scarf, Adamant, normal Silvally with Explosion. And it exploded and blew up on his Jolteon and killed it and completely flipped the tides in that battle. We went on to secure a very, very narrow victory. So I know he's going to be coming at us with some heat. He's going to want to avenge that loss. Obviously, he's got a great, fantastic team. We're going to spend a couple minutes to talk about it. So why don't I just go ahead and tell you the mons he has available to him. He has got Garchomp. Need I say anything else? Probably not, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. Obviously, Dragon and Ground type gets Rough Skin, which is pretty cool. So anytime you make a contact move, it's going to do a little bit of chip damage to you, which is always nice. Any extra chip you can get on your opponents, especially physical attackers, is going to be really, really nice. Garchomp hits incredibly hard, got base 130 attack. Really fast at base 102, can put up rocks, gets a ton of different coverage, gets Swords Dance, which is very scary, also gets Scale Shot to raise its speed. Thankfully, for some reason, Garchomp does not get Dragon Dance. I don't know why. Pretty much every other dragon does, but Garchomp doesn't. Probably because it's just that OP. And it's still worth 19 points without Dragon Dance. But yeah, Swords Dance to double his attack, and then Scale Shot to even increase the speed. Hopefully we don't allow either one of those things to happen, but if we're going to live with one of them, hopefully it's just one and not both. If it's both, we probably just lose. Anyway, so yeah, just a ton of coverage. It's very hard, very fast. Can definitely put in a lot of work, something we're definitely going to need to keep an eye out for. Next up, he's got Rotom Wash, a very, very bulky, one of the better of the Rotom forms. Obviously, you can run it max Fizz Def, max Special Defense, and without even investing in special attack, it's still doing a lot of damage with Thunderbolt. Obviously, its Rotom form gets the move Hydro Pump, gets all the Rotom moves, Will-O-Wisp and Trick, Defog, Screens, Shadow Ball, Thunder Wave. I mean, you name it. Like I said, the Rotom moves, it gets all of them. Its specific move is Hydro Pump, so it doesn't get the other form-specific moves. But Rotom Wash, very, very bulky. Thankfully, it's only weak with its Levitate ability. It is only weak to Grass. And we don't have any Mold Breaker Mons or anything like that. We could go for like Smackdown, I think, which would work. But that's kind of techie. Spoiler alert, we're not bringing that. So its only weakness is Grass. Thankfully, we do have a very hard-hitting Grass type, obviously, as you guys know, in Kartana. But are we even bringing Kartana? Who knows? You guys have to keep watching to find out. But yeah, Rotom Wash can definitely put in a lot of work. It's decent speed at 86 and is decently bulky and can hit decently hard. And he can invest in a lot of different ways. He can invest it fully in special attack to just do a lot of damage, or he can invest it fully in one of his defenses to help eat up a lot of moves and just kind of be a bulky pivot. Next up, he has got Ferrothorn. I love Ferrothorn. Never used Ferrothorn. Maybe I'll get to use it one day. But Ferrothorn, Grass and Steel, just like our boy Kartana. Extremely, extremely bulky. Can be run physically defensive. Can be run specially defensive. I believe it gets rocks and spikes. Even gets Thunder Wave, which is crazy. Gets knockoff. I don't know if it gets Rapid Spin. I feel like it's one of those ones that should, but I don't think it is. It's not something I see commonly run on it. But gets Power Whip, knockoff, Gyro Ball, which hits incredibly hard because it is very, very slow. Body Press can even help it out to do damage without being invested in attacking stats because its defense is really, really nice. And gets Leech Seed. I think gets Synthesis as well. So just a very, obviously you can't Toxic it with it being a Steel type. It's just a very, very, very bulky mon. It is quad weak to fire, so it's definitely where we got to attack that thing. with the fire-type moves, and also gets Iron Barbs, which is crazy. So just like Garchomp's going to be getting some chip on those physical attackers. So something we definitely have to be keeping in mind, because that chip could potentially very much catch up to us. So something that we definitely going to need to keep an eye out for. Are we good? We're good. So yeah, Ferrothorn, big wall, could be physically or specially. We'll just have to see if it comes, and if it comes, what he does with it. Next up, he's got Galvantula, very fast Mon. Hits very hard with Thunder, because it has Compound Eyes to make Thunder like a 93% accurate move. So it's going to almost always land its Thunders, which have a 30% chance to paralyze. And obviously gets Bug Buzz, which hits incredibly hard. Gets Volt Switch. Gets Energy Ball for the ground types. Obviously gets Sticky Webs, which can be very problematic to always lower your speed, unless you have Boots or something else like that, obviously. Or Clear Body. But yeah, Webs could be a big factor if he decides to bring Galvantula. And then, like I said, Volt Switch, Energy Ball even for the ground types. So if you think you're immune to that Electric type move, or stopping that Volt Switch, here, take this Energy Ball. Hits decently hard, and it's got a very impressive speed tier at base 108. So Galvantula can definitely put in some work, something we're definitely going to keep an eye out for. Next up, he's got Mimikyu, Ghost and Fairy typing. Mimikyu is a very cool mon. You guys, I'm sure you guys all know. Gets the Disguise ability, which always allows it to take a hit before its Disguise is busted, unless you have, again, like Mold Breaker or something like that. But most mons don't, so it's always going to take one hit. Can set up an SD, because it does get Sword Dance, it does get Shadow Sneak for priority, gets Play Rough, gets Shadow Claw. And it is a ghost type, so it gets a lot of those ghost moves that a lot of times people don't run on Mimikyu, but it definitely can. It can definitely go for Will-O-Wisp, can definitely go for Thunder Wave. I think it gets Destiny Bond, all those kind of moves. So all those things we're definitely have to keep an eye out for. And it can hit pretty hard, especially after it gets up a Swords Dance. And then if you let it do that, then it's got the priority and everything. Its physical defense is very poor, so that's something we definitely want to hit it on the physical side when and if we can. But Mimikyu, definitely a very cool Pokemon. Also base 96 speed, so it's got a pretty solid speed tier. Outspeeds a couple of our 95s. More on the specific matchups here in a minute. Galarian Moltres is his next Pokemon, Dark and Flying type. Gets the Berserk ability. You know what, while I'm here, I should know this. I know I looked it up already once before, guys, but I'm going to go ahead and look it up again, because I can't remember if Berserk raises your special attack by 1 stage or 2 stages, so I need to look that up. Berserk every time, 1 stage. Okay, that's what I thought. I just want to be sure. For some reason in my head, I was thinking it was 2 stages. So yeah, so the way Berserk works is if Galarian Moltres' HP drops below half, Berserk is going to pop off, give him +1 special defense boost. So Galarian Moltres has already got her special attack boost. It's got pretty solid special defense. Got a 90 base speed, so it's pretty solid. It's got the Dark move, which can flinch at 90 base power, which is pretty cool. Doesn't get Roost, which is something important to note, because I was thinking about drafting this thing. Then when I found out it didn't get Roost, I was like, does get, obviously, Rest and stuff, but, it is what it is with that. You can work around it, hopefully. But yeah, pretty bulky. Gets U-turn. I don't know if it gets Default or not. If it does come and it runs for Default or something, that's just something we're going to keep an eye out for. But hits pretty hard with his Dark and Flying type moves, and then the Berserk ability is something we definitely have to keep in mind. If we're going to lower it below half, hopefully we can outspeed it and kill it. Next up, he has got Pangoro, another Dark type, fighting Dark type. Pangoro, really cool mon. Base 58 speed though, so it's very slow. It gets great abilities in Iron Fist, Mold Breaker, and Scrappy, which is all really cool tech. All 3 of those abilities are awesome. Gets good priority in Mach Punch and Bullet Punch. Gets Stab Knockoff, which nobody wants to deal with. Gets Parting Shot, which is pretty cool. And Close Combat, obviously. And I'm pretty sure it gets Gunk Shot and Iron Head. It probably gets the Elemental Punches. So Pangoro is just a really cool Pokemon. It is very slow, so hopefully that's something we can take advantage of. Although, I will say this, guys. Scarf Pangoro outspeeds Max Speed Kartana. Max Speed Pangoro, Scarf outspeeds Max Speed Kartana, which is kind of crazy. Doesn't even make sense to me, because Choice Scarf is supposed to boost your speed 1 stage, which is 50%, and somehow 58 base speed at plus 50% outspeeds a base 109 base speed. So I don't know exactly how the mechanics work, but I didn't think that would be a thing, and then I looked it up just to be sure, and it does. So I could definitely see Scarf Pangoro because would outspeed Kartana, would outspeed Lele. So I could definitely see Scarf Pangoro with obviously knockoff in the party shot stuff potentially coming here. We'll have to see if it does. But yeah, Pangoro, very, very cool Pokemon. Next up, he's got Tentacruel, Water and Poison type. Tentacruel, very, very bulky on the special side. Even gets knockoff, which is pretty cool. Gets Acid Spray, obviously Sludge Wave, Sludge Bomb. Gets Rapid Spin. And it gets Toxic Spikes. One thing that's really, really cool about Tentacruel, sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. One thing that's really cool about Tentacruel, a lot of people don't know, is it's got base 100 speed, so it's actually pretty fast. And it gets good abilities in Clear Body, Liquid Ooze if we're going to go for Leech Seed or something like that. But Clear Body, very, very cool, so you can't lower any one of its stats, which is pretty cool. Not going to lie. And then, like I said, Rapid Spin, it gets Ice Beam, gets Scald, gets Sludge Bomb, Sludge Wave, gets Knockoff, which is insane. Gets Toxic, I'm sure, Acid Spray to harshly lower your special defense. So Tentacruel is definitely, and it gets bulky with like Black Sludge and stuff. So Tentacruel, very, very solid special defense. So it can definitely be a mon that we're going to have to work around as a bulky special defense pivot. Physical defense, not the best. Hopefully we can work around that. Tentacruel, very, very cool Pokemon. Next up, he has got Darmanitan, not Galarian Darmanitan, but Unova Darmanitan. But that does not make it any less of a threat. Obviously, it is pure fire type, but he can run Zen mode to make it a fire and psychic type. Darmanitan, Unova Darmanitan, normally known for Choice Scarf, Life Orb, or Choice Band. Obviously, it gets Sheer Force, which makes Flare Blitz insanely powerful, combined with its incredibly crazy physical attacking stat. So Darmanitan obviously gets U-turn. It's got decent speed at base 95. So definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye out for. Can definitely put in some work with that Flare Blitz. It just hits so very, very hard if you don't have ways to deal with it. And it gets good coverage. It gets Earthquake. Like I said, it gets U-turn. I think it gets Dark-type moves, gets Fighting-type moves and Superpower. I think it gets Iron Head. So yeah, Darmanitan is something we're definitely going to keep an eye out for. Can hit very, very hard. Very, very hard. And is decently fast at 95. Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. I almost died. Next up, very, very cool Pokemon. It is one of the evolutions that just so happens to be my favorite of the evolutions. No, it is not Jolteon again from IBA Season 2, like I mentioned earlier. It is Espeon. So Espeon is amazing. It's got base 130 special attack, so it hits like a truck. And has base 110 speed as well, so it's very, very fast. And even has the magic bounce ability, which is really, really cool. So if you're trying to set up hazards, something like that, and it switches in Espeon, it's just going to bounce them right back to you. And obviously it gets synchronized as well, which could be really cool. So if you get Toxic on it, it's going to bounce it back to the Pokemon that used it on it, whatever. So Espeon, a very, very cool Pokemon. Hits very, very hard. Gets Psychic, Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam. Outside of that, doesn't get a ton of coverage that I'm aware of. Can put up screens as well. So Espeon can definitely be something we're definitely going to have to keep an eye out for and have to work around if it does show up as well, because if we do happen to bring Tapu Lele and we do bring Psychic Surge on it, his Espeon can also benefit from the Psychic Terrain to hit our things very hard, which already got base 130 special attack. So hopefully if he brings it, we can work around that if we even brought Tapu Lele with Psychic Surge in us. Espeon, very, very cool Pokemon. I love Espeon, my favorite of the evolutions. And last but definitely not least, he has got Dubwool. So if you let Dubwool mess around, it can just sit there and sweep teams with Cotton Guard and Body Press. So definitely something we have to keep an eye out for. It gets Fluffy, which is insane to half the damage it takes from contact moves or physical moves in general, which is crazy. Also gets Bulletproof and Steadfast, but most of the time it's going to be Fluffy or Bulletproof. Both really, really good abilities. Doesn't get a ton of coverage, but what it does, it can do very, very well. Cotton Guard and Body Press. Cotton Guard and Baton Pass. So I don't really see Dubwool coming here as itself, but I could see maybe Cotton Guarding and Baton Passing. Maybe that's a strat he wants to go for. We'll have to wait and see. But we love Dubwool around here. I've seen my good buddy RebelTrainer put in a lot of work with Dubwool. Can definitely wall certain sets and just put in a ton of work with, like I said, with Cotton Guard and Body Press. Kind of crazy. So, you know what? We're going to go ahead and talk about my team first before we try and predict which Pokemon he's going to bring. So, first up, and I guess I should show you guys on here, right? Pokemon. We're going to click R. This is not team. Close your eyes, guys, real quick until we get there. Close them. Your guys' eyes closed? All right, I trust you. I trust you. And first up, we have got Blossom. You guys can open your eyes, by the way. So yeah, spoiler alert, we do have Blossom. We have Blossom, the Tapu Lele, Psychic Fairy type. We are holding the Choice Scarf this week, mainly to make sure that we can outspeed the... Here's the thing, guys. Like I said, you know what? This is something I didn't... Why don't I mention this really quickly before we get into this? Things that I note about his team in general. He's got a very, very impressive speed tier. He's got a Garchomp at 102, outspeeds Lele. He's got Galvantula at 108, which outspeeds Lele. Rotom even 86 is pretty solid. Mimikyu 96 outspeeds Tapu Lele. Tentacruel 100 outspeeds Tapu Lele. Darmanitan 95. Espeon again at 110. So yeah, his speed tier, very, very impressive. And then on top of that, you have the webs, the sticky webs potential from Galvantula to lower our team. So you are definitely going to notice as we go through our team here that my team is very aware of the speed issue here, and we're hopefully going to be able to combat that. Another thing you're going to notice about my team, last week it was all about defense, and it was about having 3 months with Toxic and whirlwinding them out and getting rocks damage and toxic damage and sandstorm chip. And this week, my team is very, very, very offensive, guys. Last week it was defensive, but what I think gives us the best chance to win this battle is offense. I think it can go incredibly well, or it can go incredibly terribly. So we'll have to wait and see with that. One thing that is important to note, though, after week 3 of season 2 of the IBA, which is our last draft league, we were 2-1 with a -1 differential. So we are currently 2-0 with the +5. So as long as we don't get 6-0'd in this battle, which could happen, Kyogre is very, very talented. He's got a fantastic team. But as long as we don't get 6-0'd, we'll be sitting in a better spot than we were after week 3 in IBA Season 2. Anyway, now we're going to move on to the team. Like I said, speed and offense are something you're definitely going to want to keep in mind because those are very important things that are going to be crucial in this battle. We got Choice Scarf Tapu Lele with a Psychic Surge ability. And originally when I made this set, I was timid max speed to speed tie with the Darmanitan if it's scarfed, but I'm just going to give it up to him. If he's jolly max speed scarf Darmanitan, he's going to outspeed me. I really don't want Lele in on that matchup anyway. I know he's not scarfed now. I can outspeed it, but I also just wanted to be modest on Tapu Lele, just do as much damage as we possibly can. So it's a very niche set. It's a very specific speed that I have invested into this thing, right? So a lot of times when people go scarfs, either they just go max speed to make sure they outspeed other things that are also scarf max speed, or sometimes you might just go scarf and put enough speed in there to make sure you outspeed your opponent's fastest mon. Something I've done many times, something he very well could do. So if he wants to go adamant on Darmanitan, he could put a scarf on it and he can go adamant, and then he only has to make sure he outspeeds Noivern, so maybe he doesn't go max speed. If he just puts enough speed into Darmanitan and goes adamant and just puts enough speed to outspeed Noivern, and that's all the speed he puts into it, we will outspeed. Again, like I said, it's very specific. I put enough speed that I would outspeed that speed set. So again, it's very, very specific, but I think it can put a workout for us. The main thing is I just wanted to go modest. That way we can do as much damage with Tapu Lele as we possibly can. And we obviously have the Psychic Surge ability. We have the moves Size Shock, Moonblast, Energy Ball, and Shadow Ball. I put in a lot of thought in this team. I did have Focus Blast on there one time to specifically hit the Ferrothorn, but it was only for the Ferrothorn, and I really don't want to be locked into it because it allows too many things in for free. Obviously, it's against Bulletproof Double. I don't think it comes, but it doesn't affect Bulletproof Double. It allows the Mimikyu in for free, which I think has a decent chance of coming here because, again, it does naturally outspeed Lele. So I just didn't want to be locked into Focus Blast on top of the fact that it's incredibly low accuracy. So I just didn't want to be locked into it. So just if it comes down to the Ferrothorn, all we have that's neutral damage on the thing is Shadow Ball. It's not going to do a ton of damage if he's careful max. But it is what it is. The reason why I have Psyshock specifically is because if you're looking through his team, right? If you're looking through his team, Psyshock is going to do almost the same amount of damage on the physical side to Garchomp because his defenses are about the same. Physical defense is slightly better. Rodent Wash, it doesn't really matter. You can invest it either way. Physical and special are the same. Ferrothorn, it really don't matter. we don't want to be in a matchup. It's mainly for the Mimikyu, to hit the Mimikyu harder, because Mimikyu has really, really bad physical defense, and Tentacruel the same way, has a lot lower physical defense. And then lastly, Espeon. If he thinks Espeon is a Psychic type switch-in, Espeon's physical defense is not good. Espeon does not really switch into a modest Psyshock from terrain very well. It just really, really doesn't. So that's the main reason why I went Psyshock over Psychic this week, just because I felt like it was going to help us out a little bit more. Moonblast obviously hits a lot on his team. If you're looking through his team, Lele can kind of go in because the only resist to Moonblast, the only two resists you have to Moonblast are Tentacruel, which doesn't want to take a Psyshock, and Ferrothorn. And then obviously I guess Darmanitan too. But Moonblast can kind of go in. It's super effective on the Garchomp. It's going to do a ton of damage to the Mimikyu. It's going to do a ton of damage to the Galarian Moltres. It's going to do a ton of damage to Pangor. Going to do a ton of damage to Rotom, to Espeon, to Double, to Galvantula. So, yeah. Scarf Moonblast can kind of put in work for us. Energy Ball is just a coverage move. It's specific. I mean, it's neutral on the Garchomp, but it's mainly to hit the Rotom for super effective damage. And neutral on the Tentacruel, neutral on a lot of other things, but that's the main reason we got Energy Ball there for. I do need to make sure the Energy Ball is not affected by Bulletproof. So I'm going to go ahead and look that up right now. All this live stuff we're doing, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoy this, right? So we got Bulletproof. Energy Ball is affected, so we are definitely got to keep that in mind. I am really, really happy that I just now looked that up to make sure. But yeah, Shadow Ball hits the Espeon, hits the Mimikyu. Again, just coverage moves here. I had to put something in there. I thought about Nature's Madness, but I ultimately settled with these. Like I said, don't want to rely on Focus Blast. Don't want to be locked into it. So we got Modest Lele. Definitely going to hopefully put in work for us. Next up, we've got Zoro the Kartana. Let me get a drink. My throat is very, very dry. Also with the Choice Scarf, because again, speed is key. I really didn't want to go Scarf because I really, really don't want to be locked into a move. But with the speed tier on his team and then Espeon, I wanted to outspeed it. And then with Sticky Web's potential as well, I just really, really wanted the speed. So that's why I went Scarf. On Kartana, we are Jolly Max Speed. That way we will still outspeed a Scarf Galvantula at max speed if it comes. So we went Scarf. Didn't really want to. Wanted to go like Expert Belt or Life Orb or something like that. But I just felt like with Sticky Webs and Espeon, I just felt like we just really, really needed that extra speed potential on him. Obviously, we got the Beast Boost. We are, like I said, Jolly Max for the last 4 into physical defense. Oh, Lele, I guess I can tell you specifically we are Modest Max, 116 into speed, and then that leaves us, like I said, with 140 EVs into HP. So we actually are decently bulky. We can live an Adamant Earthquake from Garchomp. We can live Adamant Iron Head from Garchomp. I didn't calc Iron Tail because if he's crazy and he wants to go Iron Tail with only 75 accuracy, he can do it. But yeah, we live pretty much any one move that Garchomp can go for. So if he is also Scarfed, we should be able to live it and dish out big damage with like Moonblast or whatever, like I said. But yeah, we're Scarf, Kartana, Max. With the moves Leaf Blade, Knockoff, Sacred Sword, and Smart Strike. I don't really need Smart Strike. It only hits the Mimikyu, but Leaf Blade does a crap load of damage on it. It's neutral on some other things, so we'll see. But obviously, Leaf Blade for Leaf Blade, Knockoff to Knockoff items is just nice. Sacred Sword, so we don't get so hard-walled by the Ferrothorn, which Ferrothorn actually does over half with Body Press. So I can see Body Press coming because it does do a pretty big, hefty chunk to Kartana. And outside of that, he really doesn't have any way to hit me. So I definitely can see Body Press coming. It definitely, and then like I said, Thunder Wave, so I definitely don't want to get Thunder Wave in this thing. All things we are going to have to keep in mind, but hopefully Kartana can put in the work here with these moves and the Scarf. Next up, we've got Toothless the Noivern with the Heavy Duty Boots. And the spread on this thing is as follows. We are Timid Nature with 156 EVs into speed just to make sure we outspeed max speed Espeon. 148 into special attack because that is all we need to guarantee that Draco is a one-shot on the Garchomp, at least for the set I believe he's going to run. If he runs like max special defense or max HP or something, or Assault Vest, I don't know if it KOs, and then we'll just have to calc for that at the time. Or as long as he's not Habanberry. But most Garchomp sets, Draco, I mean, I didn't even tell you guys, but yeah, we have spoiler alert, we have Draco Meteor. And then I figured with our other moves that 148 in special attack was all we needed. And then again, we are decently bulky on Noivern. I didn't run the calc, but I'll have to run the calc at the battle. I'm not going to do anything else like that in the mid recording because this video is going on long enough. But yeah, and then the remaining 204 EVs into HP to help us live moves. With the moves, Draco Meteor, Defog, obviously to get rid of hazards, like Sticky Webs, other things like that. U-Turn for momentum. And Flamethrower. I really wanted Taunt on this thing at one time. I had Taunt on this to stop Sticky Webs because I'm leaning toward leading this thing again just because it's so easy. I outspeed naturally everything on his team. And then we also have Frisk to frisk an item. So it's just really, really easy to lead this thing. I don't want to get too predictable and do that every week, so I might not, but I also might. I wanted Taunt, but I just was like, I feel like for the rest of the battle and stuff, Flamethrower is going to be too useful to hit the Ferrothorn and give me another option to that. And it's just pretty good coverage on a lot of other things. Obviously, hits the Galvantula for good damage. So those are the moves I wanted on Toothless the Noivern. Next up, we've got Bella the Arcanine holding the heavy-duty boots as well, mainly because you guys will see with the Flash Fire, just so that way we can absorb Flare Blitzes from the Darmanitan. He might not even bring Darmanitan, but if he does, we just have to bring Flash Fire. If we don't, we're going to regret it. I really wanted to go Intimidate just for general to help our team's efforts against this team, but just the threat that Darmanitan offers, I have to go Flash Fire, guys. I really just do. And we are boosted. That way we can switch in as many times as we need to. Hopefully they don't get knocked off, but if they are, we'll just have to deal with it. So you guys can see here, we got a pretty interesting set. We are Timid Max Speed, Max Special Attack with the last 4 into HP. But you can see we have mixed coverage here moves. Flame Charge to potentially catch something off guard. Maybe we KO the Ferrothorn with Flame Charge. Then he brings in Garchomp, and he's going to take this Dragon Pulse. Bulldoze is also there to help with speed control. That way we can lower things speed if they want to switch in on Arcanine. So yeah, again, like I said, speed is really key, guys. So that's why I have Bulldoze and Flame Charge. They are physical moves, which we are not physically invested. But it's mainly, it's not so much about doing the damage as it more is about raising our speed or lowering theirs. It doesn't work on the Tentacruel if he's clear body, which I assume he would be if he brings it. But hopefully, you know, we can work around that. And then Flamethrower should one-shot the Ferrothorn unless he's got some crazy investment or Assault Vest or something like that. And then Dragon Pulse, hopefully mainly just to catch the Garchomp off guard. I could have run fully physical like with Flare Blitz, but I didn't want the recoil and then the Iron Barbs or the rough skin. And then I also could have run Play Rough over Dragon Pulse just to have more coverage. But again, I just really, really wanted to be special because I didn't want so many of my mons to be physical. And then I also didn't want to deal with, like I said, Iron Barbs and all that other shenanigans and recoil from Flare Blitz and stuff like that. So we're mixed. Mostly special with coverage, Bulldoze, and Flame Charge just for a little bit of help with speed control. Next up, finally, guys, our first time bringing this in, we have got Aspen. And where did I get the name Aspen? That's because my dog that I had for a tremendous amount of time in my years growing up, his name was Aspen. It was an American Eskimo. So we got Aspen, the Lycanroc, holding the Life Orb. The reason why, because Lycanroc can pretty much go in on this man's team. At base 112, we naturally outspeed everything on his team. And with the coverage that Lycanroc gets, it could really, really just hit literally everything on his team for very, very big damage. So we have the Life Orb to boost our damage. As long as webs aren't up, we naturally outspeed everything, which is really, really nice. And we are Jolly with 244 into speed, which is all we need to make sure we outspeed max speed Espeon with the last 12 into HP, but, you know, really, really not that big deal. Max attack with the moves Stone Edge, Fire Fang, Excel Rock, and Play Rough. So you're looking through his team, right? We got Play Rough hits the Garchomp very hard. We got Excel Rock and Stone Edge for the Darmanitan. We have Stone Edge, which does a ridiculous amount of damage on the Mimikyu because his physical defense is not that good. I originally had Psychic Fangs to hit the Tentacruel, but it was literally only the Tentacruel. So I changed that for Fire Fang to hit the Ferrothorn. But still, Stone Edge does a considerable amount of damage to Tentacruel. Obviously, Stone Edge and Excel Rock for the Galarian Moltres. Stone Edge does a solid amount of damage to the Rotom Wash. Stone Edge just one-shots Espeon, which is really, really nice. Fire Fang does a considerable amount of damage to the Ferrothorn. Play Rough for the Pangora, which he could one-shot us with like a Choice Band, Iron Fist, Mach Punch, or Bullet Punch. So we'll have to scout for that. But then still Excel Rock and Fire Fang Stone Edge for the Galvantula. And then obviously Fire Fang for the double, but if he's fluffy, it'll be nice. But we really, really don't want to get into that because with Cotton Guard and stuff, it could be kind of problematic. But yeah, so if we leave this thing in the back and we chip down a lot of his team, his webs isn't up, Lycanroc can potentially just win the game for us with all the coverage that this thing has, with the Life Orb just to do incredible damage. And the last mon we have protective pads on our Hitmonchan, or Hitmontop. Originally I had leftovers, but I just wanted to go protective pads because obviously we have triple axle, and if we're trying to triple axle the Garchomp, I don't want all that rough skin damage. I mean, we're probably never going to get there, but if we try it, we switch this into Ferrothorn, I don't want all that iron barbs, maybe even Rocky Helmet stuff from the Ferrothorn. So I went protective pads just to help us with a little bit more longevity. Obviously, it would be nice to have leftovers, but I really think we're going to be hit in that Ferrothorn with with iron barbs a lot, so I just really, really want protective pads with the moves Rapid Spin to get rid of their hazards, Bulldoze to help again with speed control on his mons, and then Seismic Toss. Originally, I had Close Combat, but it wasn't doing a considerable amount because I'm not offensively invested against the Ferrothorn. So Seismic Toss just allows me to do more reliable damage on it, decent damage to the Tentacruel, especially if I get burned with Scald or something from the Rotom. We can do a little bit better damage with Seismic Toss. So I think Seismic Toss is going to fare much better for us than Close Combat. So that's the team. And we are Impish Max Defense, Max HP with the last 4 into attack on Hitmontop. So Hitmontop's really the only thing with Intimidate. I originally had Technician on this thing, but I'm like, Hitmontop is kind of just a sack here, so if I'm going to have it as a sack, I might as well run Intimidate on it. That way maybe I can lower the attack of one of his Pokemon. So that's what we got, Intimidate there for on Hitmontop. So if you're looking at our team, like I said, it's very, very, very offensive. I thought about Snorlax or some other things, but I just felt like my way to beat him is through sheer offense. And so, yeah, we definitely got to keep the speed in mind. So we're Scarf. We got Bulldoze. We got Defog to get rid of webs. We got Rapid Spin to get rid of webs. So our team is very concerned about speed and then heavy hitting. I think our way to beat him is through high offensive approach. I've said it 100 times, so this video is just rambling on. Like I said, it can go very well or it can go very poorly. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. But if I had to pick his team, if I had to pick the 6 I think he's going to bring to the battle, I think Garchomp for sure. I think Ferrothorn for sure. Those are the only 2 that I feel like definitely should come. I can make a case for the Darmanitan. I can make a case for Mimikyu. I can make a case for Tentacruel. I can make a case for Pangoro and Galarian Moltres. Rotom Wash I can make a case. Espeon I can make a case. The only thing that I'm like, I feel like the lowest 2 likelihoods are Galarian Moltres and Double. If I had to pick a 6, though, I'm going to go ahead and do it now. I'll say Garchomp, Ferrothorn, Galvantula, Tentacruel, Espeon. What is that? So we have Garchomp, Ferrothorn, Espeon, Galvantula, Tentacruel, and Scarf Pangoro. If I had to pick a 6, that's the 6 that I would pick. So what 6 is he going to bring? We'll have to wait and see. But hopefully you guys like the team. You can obviously, if you're here watching this right now, you can let me know. This is a very long video, so I do apologize for it taking so long if you guys actually came here to watch this. But most of you guys probably did not. So either way, that's the team. Hopefully we got what it takes to win. Guys, we'll have to wait and see how the battle's going to go. So I guess there's nothing else for me to say here. So I will see you guys then. Wish me luck.